I've not seen any evidence that suggests that government is part of it. If we look at the airport charges, no new airport charge was introduced in December. It was not increased. No new airport charge was increased in November, and there's no airport charge that will make prices of tickets surge to about 300%. Let's be honest. What we are seeing is greed, and I've looked at the mathematics of it. If from January to November, the average price of air tickets is 120. Let's assume you'll be flying back to Lagos empty, double the price. You still come to 240. So it's not realistic. There's no economics supporting the hike in price. It's just pure wickedness and taking advantage of people.
This is Soup Business Landscape. The FCCPC, they are launching investigation into the airfares in South and Southeast of Nigeria. That's way overdue. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, has initiated an investigation into the recent sharp increases in airfares on certain domestic routes in Nigeria, South and Southeast regions. This action comes amid growing public complaints over soaring ticket prices as the festive travel season kicks off, sparking concerns about affordability and fair market practices. Now, the agency aims to determine if the fare hikes violate consumer protection laws and will work to ensure transparency and fairness in aviation sector ahead of peak travel periods. That is where we are right now. That peak is staring us in the face. As of the last time we checked, if you remember, normal flight from Lagos to Abuja climbed as high as 300. Then those that will be going to the the southeast, they are looking at above 300, 400, 500. And in some cases, when it's very close to the festive Christmas, New Year, we're looking at something over 700, 800. Now, FCCPC is saying, okay, let's see what we can do. Are they seeing what they can do, or they should just go straight to the point and say this is not sustainable?
It just shows how, as a government, we don't have any leverage over corporations because we don't support them. We do everything, almost everything independently. And in this particular subject, I think we should call out the government of Akwa Ibom, Cross River, and Enugu. And coincidentally, they are South and Southeast states. They are the states that own airlines, and we don't have prices from them that are realistic for affordable for people to afford. So what's the essence of building an airline with the state's resources and your citizens cannot afford it? People from Enugu should be able to fly home on Enugu Air at an affordable price, because we all know that what we are seeing now is just greed. There's any new operational costs like they are claiming to be incurring. What we are seeing is greed, and I've looked at the mathematics of it. If from January to November, the average price of air tickets is 120. Let's assume you'll be flying back to Lagos empty, double the price. You still come to 240. So it's not realistic. There's no economics that is supporting the hike in price. It's just pure wickedness and taking advantage of people.
The peak period.
And unfortunately, it's a deregulated sector, and government does not have any leverage per se than to just appeal to them and beg them at this point. So, but if there is a government grant that goes to companies that are performing in certain ways, or safety measures like they do in advanced country, at the end of the year, government give grants to certain in the various sectors. They give grants to businesses that are people oriented in terms of their policies and pricing and everything. So this might be something that companies might be conscious of, to say, oh, if we increase this price too much, we might lose this, we might lose that. And it shows how the industry is so monopolistic, or, maybe there's like a cabal going on there. There's no enough competition. So this is the time that government needs to encourage new people to come into that sector.
But are you sure government is not part of this issue that we are having?
I've not seen any evidence that suggests that government is part of it.
The airport charges are not reducing at this particular period?
I mean,
The tax on the tickets are not reducing at this particular period.
yeah. So if we look at the airport charges, no new airport charge was introduced in December. So
And it was not increased.
it was not increased. No new airport charge was increased in November, and there is no airport charge that will make prices of tickets surge to about 300%. Let's be honest with
It's
ourselves.
just the operators.
It's just the operators. Why I agree that even the 120,000 is high. So if government can reduce airport charges to make the prices of ticket come to average of 70,000, 80,000, it makes sense. Or even come to 50,000 eventually when our currency gains strength and subsequently affect the drop in price in aviation fuel, we should come to 50, 60,000. But with the way we are going with the greed of these airline operators, we might not be seeing that. And maintenance infrastructure is being built within our shores, meaning we don't need to go to fly all the way to Europe to go service our plane. So these are things that are reducing operational costs. Aviation fuel has dropped this year, but we, the consumer, we are not feeling it in the prices. It's almost like the aviation fuel has tripled in prices. So I don't know what we need to do than to first appeal to state-owned airlines, because
to build the cart.
Because we have stake in those.
Okay. While we are looking at having stake in those state airlines, we're talking about the Ibom Air, Kali Air, and the Enugu Air. What can the FCCPC, what exactly can they do? What teeth do they have to bite?
I don't think they can do much. Because by the time, the FCCPC, stands on their feet and said, okay, they're only going to check. Like Amin said, they're only going to appeal. Why? Because these airlines that we are talking about, there are several charges that they pay to the government. The Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria collects landing fees, parking fees, charges for lounges, car parks, retail spaces, concession for ground handlers, duty-free shops. Okay, we're talking about the way and manner they make money. Regulatory charges. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority collects percentages from airline tickets and other aviation-related payments. Airspace management, that's NEMA, Nigerian Airspace Management Agency, collects fees for aircrafts using Nigerian airspace. Bilateral air service agreement, payment from foreign airlines for landing rights and traffic rights are also major sources. Cargo and ancillary services. All these are avenues through which the Nigerian Aviation Ministry or the Ministry of Aviation makes money. About 40% of those. That's how they got their monies.
Okay, so is it possible that they get to reduce the fares at this period? What exactly can FCCPC do? Right now, they are not
FCCPC,
they are not
can
FCCPC
stakeholders
in the aviation.
speak with the government? Because it can't just go after the airlines.
Okay.
It needs to be the nexus between the government and the airlines.
Okay.
And also the Ministry of Aviation. So it's going to be the connection, and it's going to have to be a triangle where they will have to work together.
Okay.
Now,
let me stop you. Remember the Minister of Aviation himself, Festus Keyamo, he came out to say that government cannot make them.
Yeah, because it's a deregulated, and they are taking advantage of the peak period. When next are we going to have a peak period such as this?
Everybody takes advantage of demand.
The peak period.
Let's face it, demand and supply.
Yes.
Good, but there's an extent to which that demand and supply should play.
Yes.
Can't government have a law and say, okay, good enough, no matter what your profit is, your profit margin or markup should not be more than 50% or 60%?
Will that not counteract the deregulation?
No, it won't.
It will.
How can you profit of 100%?
No, it is something for us. It's something for us to talk about. But these people will tell you, the people running the airlines, they will tell you about the prices that they incur. Currently, as we speak, the jet fuel that we are talking about, do they access it locally?
Do they want to access it locally?
If they want to, there's no way a businessman will want to access that locally, and if it's more cheaper than accessing abroad, they won't do that.
You think so?
So I think on the other aspect, there's also other politicking within what we are talking about. Remember when Festus Keyamo came out and he wanted to make sure that we, this bilateral airspace service agreement between Nigeria and the UK for airspace to be able to fly between Nigeria straight directly to UK and some other Western countries. They came out and they stood against it.
Okay.
And
Let's go back a very long time. Some years back, several decades ago, a Nigerian minister in this particular country, even if it was a military regime, said telephone was not for the poor, if you remember very well. Today, what do we have? We have direct opposite of that. That's in the person of David Marks, to be specific. He was serving in the government and he was a Nigerian minister. We've seen that happen. The same thing is happening in the petroleum sector, and gradually we are seeing that breaking, gradually happening. Aviation sector is the same thing right now. Now, the investment is coming majorly from the private sector.
That is why but when things become like this, it's a challenge to the government to further open up the sector. At this point, it's not bad to open up to even foreign airlines to come and check the local, if that is what it's going to take. So it just
local.
No. Foreign airlines to come and start flying local, to come and set up here, foreign companies to come here. So when things like this is happening, when it almost look like a cabal, then we need a Trojan horse to come and disrupt the industry.
Because if you follow your calculation, prior to this particular period, 120,000 naira. So if they are flying back empty, multiply it, that's 240,000 naira. Okay, add extra 30% to it. So you have at most 280,000 naira. But we are seeing tickets for 400,000 naira. A markup of well over 300% on profit alone. No.
Of course, that's why I said the FCCPC, it can't be unilateral about this.
Okay.
And it needs to, in fact, even when the minister came out last week to make that statement, that is when the FCCPC should have, in a friendly way intervened and, had a meeting with the minister, including the airlines, because it's obvious, or it seems as if the minister is protecting the airlines and their businesses. Even if we are to look at that, the airlines will tell you there are some very, very critical infrastructure that this industry, we do not have. Recently, the government talked about building some of them, but currently we don't have them. And if the government is going to build them, what's the duration of the
infrastructures?
Yes.
And they've built all the major infrastructures that we need, which are safety gadgets. And that is why we've been able to sign the deal that allowed dry leasing for Nigerian airlines.
But what about the maintenance? Those airline maintenance hangars that we're talking about, we do not have much of them in Nigeria.
Yes, there's none, but we just signed the deal but see, we'll be incurring this cost January to November, even from last year. It's not new. And our National Assembly, there's a loophole, there's a way we can have a deregulated industry and still have
price control,
which is, in the US, for example, some states have a law that prevents exploitative profiting during disaster, during, unfortunate incidents. So even during fuel scarcity, you have to, if you are going to increase your price, it shouldn't be more than 10%. If it's more than 10%, then they will look through your books to actually see that your cost actually increase. Unlike what we see in Nigeria, where if Dangote announced that there is going to be a fuel increase, somebody that have a fuel in their tank that can last them for 1 month will increase their prices. If it was to be in states like California in America, then you pay fine. Once government can look through your book, do their investigation, and prove that you have the old stock of fuel and you are selling for new prices beyond 10%. So these are the way that we can, because, across everything, this air ticket now is causing inflation in other services. So at the end of the day, we are just inflicting on ourselves artificial inflation, just based off of greed.
Inflation, direct hardship,
just off of greed. And it's going to kill that sector too, because at the end of the day, on the long run, if 1,000 people are supposed to fly, 1,000 people will translate to direct number of jobs. 100 or 150 people will eventually fly. So that means some people will not get to work. Just that the few people that get to work, they get boom. So we need to be thinking big. We are trying to expand this economy, but people's greed keep shrinking it.
business grade. You want to say
So,
something?
yes, I'm looking at the number of airlines,
Okay.
number of airlines that operate domestic flights in Nigeria, and we have quite a number of them. But if this is a norm, this astronomical increase in price is a norm, it's obvious that there is some form of an agreement between these people to take advantage of the peak period. Sincerely, in reasoning, I feel that it shouldn't go beyond probably that same calculation you put. And even if you're to take advantage of the peak period, you shouldn't go beyond that. But the institution that is supposed to hold them to account or to check their books to make sure that we are getting the wrong information from that aspect. So what are we going to do? We need to also have other institutions intervene, because the National Assembly is quiet about this.
Okay.
Completely quiet about this. And so that we do not experience what we experience not only in telecommunication, but also in television, where we have a foreign brand and there's an allegation from those from Nigerians that those foreign brands do not collect subscription from our politicians, and so they just remove their hands, and Nigerians were getting fleeced by the day. So we need to make sure that we also check the same thing here. However, the FCCPC sometimes, arrogating some things to yourself might not really solve the problem. It needs to sit down and speak with the minister.
Let's see what
the minister needs to see it from that perspective, because the statement he made is not it.